Hello and welcome back to another episode of Craven Some Raven. And in this episode, the season's over, man. So, I'll be talking a little bit about that, what this year meant, everything about this Ravens team. But I will be talking about this game that we just had, that we finished up yesterday, defeating the Steelers 28-10 in Baltimore in a rainy, disgusting afternoon. I wonder if it was actually more miserable than the San Francisco game, because I was at the San Francisco game and that was pretty cold and miserable. So, hey, if you were at both games, feel free to let me know which was worse, condition wise. Not play on the field, just, conditions, being outside, sitting in the stands, which was worse. I know you're watching football live, you're watching some Ravens football live, so it really doesn't matter. And I know the starters, they were not really playing. Lamar Jackson wasn't in. Really, that's the only one that, not that I care about, but it's the big name that wasn't really playing. The reason that we are 14-2 is Lamar Jackson, but he was not playing in this game. So we got a heavy dose of RG3. Now, I was really hoping to get a heavy dose of Trace McSorley as well, because I think Trace is going to be the backup of the future. I think RG3, he is destined to go other places, try and compete for a starting job at said new place. And I think, my personal opinion is John Harbaugh wanted to play Trace McSorley. He wanted to get a look at the new backup. But I think Eric DeCosta kind of, intervened and was like, hey, man, the more he plays, the more tape is out there, the more likely we are to, get trade offers or, garner a draft pick, something to that extent, right? Trying to get something out of RG3, and I just don't see RG3 being here long term. He said it himself that he wants to be a starter, with Lamar Jackson. That is not going to be the case. It's only going to take an injury, and the way Lamar has been playing. I know a lot of national analysts and a lot of smart people around the league think otherwise, but seeing the way Lamar plays, it's going to be tough for him to get injured. That could have been the jinx right there, but it is what it is. And I think RG3 is going to try and compete for a starting job elsewhere. Maybe he goes to the Steelers. Before Big Ben comes back, he's probably not going to look too good next year either way when he comes back. So maybe or even the Bengals. Maybe RG3 just becomes the AFC North whore. He was on the Browns. He goes to the Ravens. Then he gets straight to the Steelers or the Bengals. I think either team, either the Bengals or Steelers, they could use an RG3. Get some mobility back there. But it was clear and obvious from the start that RG3 is not as good as Lamar Jackson. I know, hot take, right? Ooh, best take of the year. Now that we're at the end of the season, I think that was my best take. RG3 is not as good as Lamar Jackson. Wow, what do you know? Shocking, good take. But I mean, really, I think he's not the backup of the future. He got this win, but you could just see the difference in speed, the difference in arm talent. It was clear and obvious that RG3 isn't the answer. Maybe I know a backup. It's supposed to be a backup. You're not going to get the same level of play. And in all honesty, it might just be because Lamar Jackson is so good, we're a little bit spoiled. Maybe if we had Joe Flacco and he was our starter and RG3 was our backup, we'd be like, oh man, RG3 is way better than Joe Flacco. I mean, that wouldn't shock me, right? But he's nowhere near Lamar Jackson's level, and I think, as trade bait, it'd be better. As if RG3 is trade bait, that's better for the team. Get some new, younger guys. Really any position. If you get like a 5th round draft pick, you can turn that into Matthew Judon, right? You never know. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But I definitely think DeCosta was like, hey man, we should start RG3 all game, because there was a point in that game where it felt like, all right, the Steelers have sort of given up. I rewatched the game, and I just watching the condensed version, so just play to play. So it didn't look that way, like with the play on the field, but when you were watching it live, you could really see it. And especially Like, I was watching it with a Steelers fan. My buddy, we actually did a podcast earlier in the year when the Ravens played the Steelers, but, didn't get to that this week. But, I was watching the game with him, and, yeah, you could tell he was feeling the same way. It's like, yo, the season's over. We're getting updates on his TV that the Titans are basically winning. And I heard that some of the Steelers players were upset because the Ravens, I guess, organization kept posting, like, the score to that game. And it's like, well, why are you upset, right? I know this is ruining your chance, and it's making you guys upset because your season. It's like, well, then do something about it. Don't be terrible, right? Hey, Steelers, don't be terrible, and then you won't have to worry about a fucking scoreboard at another stadium, all right? Don't be mad at yourself, okay? And so it was still a good game. Anytime they went to pass, it's like, just fucking run the damn ball. Let's get this record. And they did, man. They got the rushing record. A record that's been standing for 41 years. A record that I said would go down before the season started. Was I the only one with that take? No. But still fucking said it. Put it out there. Hey, I'm glad I got it. That this truly was an amazing year for the running back with the Ravens. And I really think, defenses, they got smaller, so the Ravens decided to go big. And it was really a culmination of multiple factors with Greg Roman's running scheme and Lamar Jackson just being, dare I say, the best running back in the league. I know you're not supposed to say that, and it's different running styles. But, I mean, runner of the football, weapon with the ball in their hands, Lamar Jackson, he's top 3. I mean, you could say Christian McCaffrey's up there. I would even put Alvin Kamara. I think he's special. Saquon Barkley. But he's, Lamar Jackson, he is in that company of the elite guys with the ball in his hand. And so they get the record, and on a rainy, nasty day, backups are in, even backup linemen. It's like, yo, let's just run the damn ball because we were having some success. Because Gus Edwards is no slouch. He is a big play waiting to happen. As a big bruising style back, hey, I'm just going to run forward, catch me if you can, go fuck yourself, I'm not going lateral. For that style of player to really just be a big play to waiting to happen, really. Just a big play waiting to happen. That is Gus Edwards. Now, I know he had that fumble, but in all honesty, I'm just going to put that on TJ Watt. Like, hey, that was a great fucking play. That was a well-timed, perfectly punched-out ball. There's nothing you can do to defend a knockout blow to the football. You got to have two hands on the ball. Maybe that's what you can say, but for all the times that Gus Edwards didn't fumble, right? It's like I'd rather see him, just keep the one hand on the ball. If that means that you run faster and you can run, get through the hole quicker, I am willing to, take that gamble, I guess. And it was raining. The ball is slick. And honestly, like I said, just a great play by TJ Watt. And, Gus Edwards, man, I think he finishes the year with like 700 yards of rushing. Lamar with 1,200. Mark Ingram with over 1,000. I don't know what Justice finished with. I think it was about maybe 200. I'm not really 100% sure. But, not really looking back, but trying to remember what my predictions were. I think those were my ranges. Lamar over 1,000, Mark Ingram over 1,000, Gus Edwards close, pushing 800. I was pretty much around there. Pretty much everything just went according to plan when it came to the run game. The stars really did align. And as Ravens fans, me specifically, and I know other people, we were saying all offseason, hey, man, Greg Roman's running scheme, Lamar Jackson's running ability, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, this is going to be something special. And I think, they could, go for that record. And they did. And they won it. And they beat it by like 100 yards. You think of all the teams around the league, hey, you ran for 100 yards today? That's a good game. And they beat the record by like 130-something. I want to say. I could be wrong on that, but demolished that record. Come on, man. Good on your Ravens. I was happy to see it. It's just opening up the gate. Gus Edwards, huge run, and it's, all right, this is over. It's sloppy. It's rainy. But, Yeah, really happy with Gus Edwards, like his play. There was no doubt in my mind. I think I remember saying last week that I see him going over 100 this week, and what do you know, he did. So there was no surprise there. I think all of us know how talented Gus Edwards is. His running style, bruise him, pound him, but like a long strider, somehow just gets downfield. Next thing you know, he's gone off to the races. That's what's crazy about our run game. It's the big plays come from our run game. Obviously, we've had big plays in the passing game. There's no question about it. But, just like down to down watching it, it's like the big plays come from running. That's where all of our success, that's where it starts. That's why Lamar, he could be so efficient with passing the ball. But, here's what it is. Talking more about this game, Justice Hill, he got the touchdown. Justice Hill, he's a guy that's just excellent in open space. It's just sometimes it's tough for him to get in open space. So when you throw him the ball, that's when you see a lot of his explosivity, I guess you could say. His explosion, his wiggle, his speed. That's when you see him at his best. But when we're running him up the middle, that's just not his strong suit. So really not looking forward to the Ravens. Keep doing that. I guess I don't know. And staying on the offense a little bit, Hayden Hurst, though, right? That one hand snag. Are you kidding me, bro? Wow. I mean, he's been doing it all year. Even during that draft, people talking about Hayden Hurst, they gave him the name of best hands in the draft, best hands at tight end in the draft. And, it's shown for us really all year, right? In this game specifically with that one-handed snag. I mean, what a fucking beauty. There was another third down conversion where the ball was a little bit behind him. I mean, Scarlet Thor, he's got the hands, dude. He's got the hands. Very impressive. Love seeing it. Can't wait to see what he can do in the playoffs. Yeah, just all around happy. What a great play. That's really all you got to say, man. Good on you, Hayden Hurst. I know a lot of people hating on him. There was talks of him being traded to the Jags for Jalen Ramsey. All the nonsense outside of the football field. It's like, come on, guys. Hayden Hurst is legit. I know Mark Andrews gets all the love and all the credit because he had a stellar season, 10 touchdowns. But Hayden Hurst is no slouch. No slouch at all. So, moving on, talking about the defense a little bit more, in this game, maybe a little bit year long. They came to play today, but I mean, it seems like every single week there's one or two drives where it's just not their drive, right? There's a couple penalties, one or two big plays, and what do you know? They're on the 5-yard line. All right, let them score. But then they're resilient. They always tighten up eventually. They don't let it get them down. This is what the rest of the game's going to be like. The Steelers were up 7-6. They put together that long drive. Oh fuck, we got our backups in. This is what's going to happen. Brandon Williams isn't out there, right? What are they going to do? Jimmy Smith wasn't really playing. Saw some backup corners. Saw Anthony Averett getting in there. Saw Imam Marshall in there a little bit. The two plays where I noticed him and I watched him play. I was like, yeah. Oh, excuse me. And I was like, yeah, great coverage, man. Did a good job. Nothing to complain about. No one caught a ball on him. So that's what's up. But, it still seems like setting the edge is sometimes a problem for us. It's either boom or bust with us. I don't know if I'm the only one noticing this or if I'm completely wrong, but it seems like sometimes we set the edge and it's perfectly fine. We cause running backs to have to cut inside. They can't get around them, and it's like, yeah, hell yeah, Ravens, there you go. That's how you set the edge. And then other times it's like, where is it? Where's our fucking edge, man? Where you're just gonna let them run outside, right? Get the blocker and just push him back, man. Just push him back. Reroute the running back. So I don't want to say it's like an issue, but it's like sometimes it's a bugaboo. Sometimes it's just, man, why can't we just seem to stop these guys, right? So it's a bummer. And then, with Marlon Humphrey, I think we should just in before each and every game, we should just expect like 2 to 3 penalties from Marlon. Now he's a big, physical, somewhat grabby cornerback, and that's the downside of having that kind of a player. The upside, he becomes locked down and he can shut a player down. But on the flip side, you know, he can you get penalties. There was that offsides penalty, and it's like, well, how are you offsides? What are you doing offsides, man? You're a corner. Don't you know where the line of scrimmage is, dude? Not to hate on the guy, but it's like, come on, man, come on. And there's always like a pass interference or something like that. That's it's always like, damn it, Marlon. But he makes up for it with some great play on the field. Shutting down an opposing receiver where you don't really hear from the guy, right? You didn't hear from Juju really all game. He had a pass for like -5 yards, and then he had like a weird shovel pass up the middle, and that was it, right? Now they did have Deontay Johnson, and what do you know? A fucking rookie wide receiver for the Steelers going off yet again. What is this, like the 30th year in a row? God damn, could they just not? Could they not, right? Yeah, damn. I mean, it's this, for whatever reason, the Steelers just have a knack. I don't know which one of their scouts is the fucking wide receiver expert, but goddamn, get this man a GM job, because some of these other GMs around the league, it's like, what are you doing, man? What are you seriously doing? But one other thing, with the defense, something that I noticed, and it's not so much this game, we need to sign Chuck Clark. It's not even a notice thing. It's just a statement. We need to sign Chuck Clark, because he has come in. He has, I don't want to say dominated, but he has played at a very high level, being the glue kind of that sticks this team together, being the communicator, being the guy with the green dot. He has far and away exceeded, his draft status and what he should have been on the field. I think it should be, one of the top priorities for Eric DeCosta and this Ravens front office to sign Chuck Clark. And I think you can get him cheaper. Sign him early. He's a late round draft pick. Keep him happy. I'm sure he wants to be here. Maybe he wants to bet on himself and go elsewhere. But I'm hoping some of these players that we need to sign, like a Matthew Judon, they realize, it doesn't necessarily get better than here. You came to a great organization. You see it with all these players deciding to retire as Ravens. They love their time here. They feel like this was the most them that they could be. They're allowed to be themselves. The facility is amazing. They really put in a lot. The Ravens organization really puts in a lot of money to taking care of their players. And, hopefully these players realize this and say, hey, I want to stay here. Maybe not take the hometown discount, but take hey, I want to win discount. That's what I want to call it. Taking a win, or go for the win discount. Go for it all. Go for glory kind of discount. Because this team is poised for, a dynasty. If you go 14-2, that's a great team, regardless if you win the Super Bowl or not. That is something you can hang your hat on, right? Best record in the league. Obviously, a very dominating football team. So, I want them to win the Super Bowl, of course. Like no shit. But if you get, so with signing these players, we are now going to have, with Lamar Jackson under his rookie contract, like this 4-year period where we can have all of this talent around him, right? And we can build around Lamar before we have to pay him the buku bucks, and then we can kind of focus more on the draft. But hopefully Eric DeCosta, Ozzie Newsome, on all the scouts, they start hitting on their draft picks, and so it's never an issue. It's always an influx of talent. I've talked about this before. You always want to be rebuilding. It's a constant process. It's not just now we need to rebuild. No, you should always be doing that. But we have this window here. Sign the great players, the players that really make your team, and I think Chuck Clark is one of those guys who. he should be the starter next year. I don't know what they want to do with Tony Jefferson. I know he's making a lot of money, but I think Chuck Clark kind of makes him like inert or not necessary. As fucked up as that sounds, because he's a human being, and I like seeing him. I like his interviews. I like what he brings to the locker room. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with. Kind of brings the locker room together. But money-wise, it's just, that's the NFL, right? If someone comes in and does your job better than you and gets paid less, they're going to take your job. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? It's supposed to be an meritocracy. That's how John Harbaugh would describe it, even though sometimes it doesn't seem that way, because it's, oh, well, this guy's making the money, so we got to play him, right? I think, if it truly was an meritocracy, the best players play, I think, Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards would have similar yardages, would have similar snap counts. Because really, sometimes I think Gus Edwards is better than Mark Ingram. But what you get with Mark Ingram is that loud, hype man type mentality, which you don't get from Gus Edwards, which I love. I love the business mentality. Like, yo, I'm going to run down your face, and I'm not even going to say nothing about it. I love that. But also, I love the boisterous, the loud, the in-your-faceness that Mark Ingram is. Maybe you don't get that if he's not producing at a high level. If you don't get him the ball a bunch, maybe you don't get that same guy. I'm not really sure. But keep the man happy so he can keep hyping up the team. And sometimes the mental makeup of the team is just as important as the play on the field. You get, if Mark Ingram's hyping everybody up and they play better on the field, he kind of boosts everything. It's not just hey man, I ran for 5-10 yards, that's what's up, I helped the team. No, it's like you're boosting everybody's mentality. It's a workplace with a terrible mentality, it's no fun to work at. Your employees are going to want to leave, like, oh, fuck this place, the boss is a douche, the coworkers are assholes, why would I want to work here? The money's great, but that's, anyways, it's like the NFL. That's what I'm getting at. It's an analogy, a workplace analogy. Hey, did you see the game last night? Anyways, and special teams really came through. They had the touchdown. They had the at the very start of the game, a great return. D'Anthony Thomas, that was his best return of the year, really. I honestly think that should be a priority in the draft coming up, and I know I will talk the dickens out of that. That we need a return specialist, a guy who did it a bunch in college, maybe plays another position. I don't know how they want to attack it, but I think that should be a position of want. Field position is huge in this game, right? So we're gonna need someone with a little bit more oomph, a little bit more talent, a little bit more skill. But we'll get to that another day. When I was talking about Chuck Clark and his contract extension, and I want to talk about Matthew Judon, because after the game, he was asked about if he wants to be here. Someone asked him about all these guys getting signed. He's like, yeah, Chuck Clark, or not Chuck Clark. Marcus Peters deserves it. He's a great player. And then I think it was Ryan Mink who's like, do you want to be one of these guys? And it was kind of like we'll see after the season, which is like, ooh, buddy. He's like, but then he said that, if I do, I know the house I'm already going to get. So it's like, oh, okay, so maybe. But, the first response is, we'll wait to see after the year. So that tells me that he is going to leverage any kind of success that the Ravens has into getting more money. And that's where the Ravens kind of get into trouble. Are you willing to pay him pass rusher money? He's played well. You saw what Zadarius Smith has done once he went to Green Bay. I think the Ravens would like to have Zadarius Smith, but at $17 million, and is Matthew Judon about to command the same amount of money? At that money, I say, fuck no, dude. $13 million a year? Maybe. Yes, I'll say yes. I will say Matthew Judon at $13 million a year, yes. Any more than that, if they do sign him and it's like 15, it's like, well, that's just the going rate, whatever. I'm happy for the Ravens. I'm a fan. Let's go. Let's do this. But, it's just, it's tough, man. It's a tough thing because we don't normally, in this position, we have guys, on the come up, young guys who can who can pass rush, right? We've always had just this slew of pass rush talent just coming through like, oh, who's this guy? What's his name? Yeah, I'm sure he'll be great. And well, what do you know? He is. And it's not as, I don't know. We don't have as many of those guys. It's not one of our strong suits is depth at pass rusher, right? And I talked about it, in the draft. We don't need pass rushers, meaning guys who get to the quarterback. But either way, that's not our strongest suit. Where we get a lot of our sacks is on blitzes and doing crazy stunts and all that. So we don't really have a dominating force. So it's, are you willing to get rid of your best guy in Matthew Judon in risk of overpaying and then maybe at some point down the line being a detriment to the team, where then in the future we're saying, oh, well, we're paying Matthew Judon too much. It's an issue. It creates a problem down the line when you overpay for a player. Now he could just go out and improve even more and be even better, and it's like, oh, what a great fucking signing. Eric DeCosta, wipe your hands, it's clean. None of this even matters, but it's the debate because we just don't know. Is it worth it to sign Matthew Judon? That will be the prevailing question asked by all Ravens fans during the offseason, if he's not signed beforehand. But the way Matthew Judon was talking, it sounds like it's going to be later. But, the reason he was asked that question is because Marcus Peters got signed, and I didn't really have a chance to talk about that. At least I don't think I did. I don't think I did last week. But let's fucking go. Make Marcus Peters great again. That's the wrong way to put it because he's always been great. But give the man his money. How dumb do the Rams look right now? Are you kidding me, Rams? You trade him, I think they traded Aqib Talib, your two best corners, and a first-round draft pick to get Jalen Ramsey, who I would argue Marcus Peters has been playing better. Since that trade went down, Marcus Peters has been playing better than Jalen Ramsey. Now, there's different surroundings, different players around them. They're two totally different teams, used completely in different ways. But if you just look at the production, Marcus Peters has been playing better than Jalen Ramsey. And we got him for a draft pick and a Kenny Young, a guy who's not even playing on the Rams. I don't even know if he's getting snap time. So it just, credit to Eric DeCosta for fleecing dudes all year long. I know he was training under Ozzie Newsome this whole time, but god damn, my man's a savant. Are you kidding me? Bringing in Marcus Peters, solidifying the defense with LJ Fort and Josh Bynes. Two guys are just like, what? Oh, yeah, I remember Josh Bynes, LJ Fort. Who is that? And it being like the perfect fit for both of these guys. Trading Corey Vedvik for a 5th-round draft pick. Like Eric DeCosta, shout out to him. But I am so glad, because the debate was gonna be, Judon, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey coming up. How do you pay all these guys? Well, first thing you do is you get Marcus Peters, make him happy, give him a big old fat contract that's front-loaded, right? Ozzie Newsome used to do everything back-loaded, and that created tons and tons of issues. Like, oh, well, right now we're fine, but in the future we're going to be fucked. And now, since we have all this cap space, since Eric DeCosta kind of, just working that money, Joe Flacco not on the deal anymore, not on the books anymore, making everything front loaded because so that way, make him happy now, give him all that money now while we have it. So that way down the line we can have more money when the cap raises like it always does each and every year. We will just continue to have extra money where each and every year, like, oh, we can sign this guy, we can sign this guy, we can sign this guy. So it's like, oh, that's a big fucking deal. Or not like it's a big deal. I'm meaning like the contract is a big like deal. Like, hey, let's make a deal. Not like, anyways, you know what I'm saying. Like, so it's, it seems like a huge contract. But, when you look down the line, 3 years down the line from now, like, we're paying him how much? Oh, that's not bad. When we had the money, that's when we paid him all that much. And so now when it's his turn, again in a contract, or it's the end of the line, who knows what happens that far down the future. We could be looking at 5 Super Bowls, who the fuck knows, man. But I mean, down the line we're gonna have all that money. And it's just Eric DeCosta, man, shout out to you, Shout out to your family. Shout out to your grandparents. Shout out to everybody you know. I mean, you done good. You done good. Yeah, man, this is a little bit of a shorter episode. I don't really know what else to talk about. Ooh, I do. I do know. Baker burnt the brownies, and there was a kitchen fire. Because Freddie Kitchens is one and done. I mean, really, the whole AFC North has just been a dumpster fire. I mean, really, from second to the bottom, I would say from top to bottom, but the Ravens at the top, and they're 14-2, so it's like, all right, whatever. But I mean, the Steelers, they had good defense. They came to play each and every week, but they're just plagued by injuries. That's not so much dumpster fire, but that's just trash, right? And then you got the Browns. They can't get out of their own fucking way. Anytime they won, it was always marred, or it was always, overshadowed by something that happened during the game, like Myles Garrett or Jarvis Landry and Odell getting heated on the sideline, or talks of Freddie Kitchens and all this shit. It was never good. They were just dumpster fire, and the Bengals, just the Bengals. They were trash. Their roster isn't as trash as the way they played, but you know what? Go ahead, get the first pick. Go grab Joe Burrow. Go do your thing, Bengals. But I mean, Freddie Kitchens, one and done. It's a big fucking deal. This Cleveland team has been cursed. I don't know what it is. Is it the curse of the Belichick? Once they got rid of Belichick, that's when everything went downhill. I know they had Belichick and Nick Saban on the same fucking squad. I'm talking about all-star status, and they still couldn't win then. I don't know what it is, but they need to get an experienced coach. No more of this, hey, first-time head coach kind of gig. Even if it's a college head coach, don't do that. Just get Ron Rivera. Don't be stupid, and get the guy who's been there and done that, right? Don't be dumb, but that's what they deserve for being so hyped, for trying to sprint before they could walk. And I've talked about that before, but just doing things all out of order. Go 9-7 first before you can be crowned a playoff team, right? Do something that's worth it. Do something that's worthy before you get crowned, right? Yeah, we got the playoffs coming up. We got a bye week, so I don't know what the podcast schedule is gonna be like. We got tons of stuff to talk about, break down in the playoffs. We could be playing the Titans, we could be playing the Bills, we could be playing the Texans. I'd like to be playing the Texans out of all the teams, just because out of those three teams, I feel like we've already just demolished them. We straight raped that team non-consensually. Really put the football in their butts and said, "You like that? You like that? No, I don't like that." I guess that's what football rape sounds like. We've been there, done that, put it to them, and so I like our chances against them. But the Bills, I think they're not that good. I don't know. They got into the playoffs, so what the fuck do I know? But the Titans, I do not want to play the Titans. I'm just glad. I was so happy seeing the Chiefs get the 2 seed and the Patriots get the 3 seed. So now we won't have to see the Chiefs. I'd much rather see the Patriots, definitely. But, if the Patriots win, then they will have to play the Chiefs. And so we won't know what's going on there. So I'm hoping the Patriots win 2 in a row and it's an AFC championship in Baltimore. We get to play the Patriots yet again. And I like our chances against the Patriots. Oh, the Patriots, the playoffs. Bill Belichick, blah, blah, blah. He lost on purpose or whatever. Whatever you want to say, I like our fucking chances. And for all people saying, it's not smart to rest Lamar Jackson. Yes, it was. Did you see how disgusting that day was? Will he be cold coming out? I don't know. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. This offense isn't a rhythm type offense more than any other offense. It's not. I get it. There's a mesh point, but they've been working on that all year. They've only had one fumble the entire time. I like our chances. Get him rested, because honestly, down the stretch, Lamar Jackson was still amazing, was still great. But I mean, like, looking at his rushing highlights, there was a video of every Lamar Jackson run. And, you compare it from the very start of the video to the end of the video, he definitely was not as explosive. Obviously, still amazing, still one of the best running the football, still, super elusive. But there was just like the slightest little tick down in explosivity. Nice word there. Just the slightest tick down. Not really noticeable, just from when you watch all of the runs in a row, you can kind of tell. It's a long season, definitely makes your legs sore. You got bruises, you got bumps. So rest him up, make him 100%, get him into the playoffs, a must-win game. I can't wait to see what he does. Can't wait to see some hurdles. Can't wait to see some spin moves. Can't wait to see some touchdowns, and I can't wait to see how exciting this team will be. So with that being said, I don't know what I'm going to name this one because we're talking about the season as a whole. I mean, hey, 14-2, guys. What the hell can you say? I remember after that Browns game, 2 losses in a row, and I was like, hey, even a 14-2 team loses twice. I didn't think that was going to happen, obviously. A 12-game winning streak? That is fucking crazy. Still, the Orioles are still the last Baltimore team to lose. I mean, what more can you ask for? No one really expected this, I expected them to be good, but you got to sprinkle a loss in here and there, right? It's just the NFL. Any given Sunday, shit happens. An unforeseen injury. You can't predict a 12-game winning streak. And they are not the best team in the NFL, had the best regular season out of any team in the NFL. Oh, well, it's the playoffs and it's a whole new season. Yes, 100% true. It is a clean slate. But let's not overlook how dominant this Ravens team had been all season. Going 14-2, mixed with the opponents that they had, no one else would have had as good a record as they did. They played playoff teams weeks and weeks and weeks in a row. So, just all around great team success, playing lights out. Really happy for the peeps, for the dudes, for them guys. Let's go Ravens. Let's go get a playoff win. I'm sure I'll talk to you in the bye week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Just going to talk about the playoffs. Probably going to talk about the teams. Going to be placing some bets. So we will get to that when we get to that. So if you're on YouTube, drop a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say, unless it's dumb. But I will have to be the judge of that. Don't really get much hate. It has been a year long. The first year with the podcast, obviously still playoffs, right? But first full season. Or regular season done. It flew by. I had so much fun covering the Ravens, in this sort of capacity on a podcast. I'm just used to following the Ravens as just a fan, looking at my phone, really craving some Raven. I almost have a disease because when I'm looking at my phone, I'm usually looking at Raven stuff. I don't know, 2 out of 3 times I'm looking at Ravens stuff when I'm looking at my phone. Yeah, it really does feel like a disease to me. I am craving some Raven. I just got to have it in my life. I don't know why. I don't know what happens. Probably because it's, I don't have Ravens fans around me. So I can't really talk, Ravens football with anybody. This has been really fun. I've loved hearing your guys' feedback and comments on the YouTube part of it. I love seeing that. I can't figure out how to check if I have reviews on iTunes. I don't really know how to check that, but I mean, I am a podcast. I'm on all the podcasting platforms, at least all the big ones. So if you're listening through that, if you want to give me 5 stars, that helps out. Helps me, get more noticed, I guess. I don't know. They put me higher on the list. The more reviews you have. So if you love the content, feel free to like it as you do. On YouTube, give me likes. Either way, man, just do what you got to do. Just help me out. Help a brother out. Drop a comment. Drop a like. Drop what you're doing and give someone a hug. I don't know. Just drop it, baby. Drop it, baby. I don't know. Either way, we're going off the rails here at the end. So I am just going to leave you with a go Ravens, baby. Had a great season. Let's go. 14-2. Go Ravens, baby.